Okay, thank you very much. Come, first one, I'm not going to be answering all the questions. For instance, the one on intelligence vacancies, one, two cases in court will be answered by the National Commissioner. Now, on my side, first one to be responded to is the need for closer coordination. We, especially with correctional affairs, correctional services, and then justice, and then home affairs. We were being practical on this matter to say we can't be a country with high levels of crime and therefore engaging, as we are doing as ministry, police, high level or top brass police in the country and saying, drive crime down and let's do everything that we need to do to drive crime down, and sit and spend many, many hours strategizing and doing all sorts of work. And they in turn chasing all these criminals, including very dangerous criminals. Arrest these people, get them to courts, and finally get them to what is supposed to be the arresting place called correctional services. Only for them to get popular there in one way or the other as it happens, and they befriend some officials there, and some of them get whatever they get to gratify, as we get stories informally, some of these correctional services. And they get cell phones, and they get favors that finally get them out. In some cases, it's in the form of parole, lenient application of parole laws, and in some cases, in whatever way, failure to supervise them when they finally get that parole. So we've held a meeting to say, let's have a meeting, let's discuss this matter because it is facing South Africa in the eye. How do you find joy that a criminal who has records like murder has been arrested and so on, and now in the correctional service facility, only to be confronted by him again, or the allegation that that crime is committed by the same criminal? Unacceptable, totally unacceptable. And there can't be any excuse, including any level of corruption in correctional services. It must be fought. It must be overcome. And we engaged along these lines, and we're hoping that they're working on that, but it's unacceptable. Now, we did say to South Africa, in Lusikisiki, even in the early stages, there may be a case or at some point where somebody in correctional services becomes one of the suspects in the matter of 18 people. Now, the Sunday Times then come with headlines and say, I'm a monster. And when you read that on Sunday morning, who is this monster? Who is saying so? It is a very is a very person who was sentenced for murdering a policeman, now sitting there. And you get a chill when you get that there may have been consideration to give him parole, let alone a chill when a person is said to have been saying, I'm a monster, as it turns out which we were aware of during the investigation. These stories were coming out, and so on. That is chilling, it's painful, and it's unacceptable. Unlicensed firearm, you are saying, Zianda, what happens? So there needs to be a closer practical coordination, and there must be consequences, because if, for instance, this one is true, if that he was coordinating, as we often collect, in a facility, correctional services facility, Wellington, with 5 cell phones at some point and 2 at some point, and indeed found, if he gets found to have done this beyond any doubt, who is responsible? Who is responsible? Right down from locking the door to those who are responsible. There must be consequences in this, and we will expect that there will be consequences. Unlicensed firearms, most of the instances where we report that police seized firearms, either after the confrontation or before the confrontation, when they go to places after tip-offs or intelligence and so on, most of these firearms that get collected there are unlicensed. And I was talking about Mpumalanga now, that one individual driving a buggy was found with 8 AK47s, unlicensed. 1 R1, 1 R5, 1 R4, which is an army issue, and all of that. Unlicensed, all of those. And ammunition, even F1, which is an instrument of war. So most of these confrontation resulting into firearms collected that are unlicensed. But what is our deliberate move to get to deal with this matter? Operation Chanela. Each time these operations get underway, it has never happened that police don't get unlicensed firearms. They do. I made an example of a recent case of KwaZulu-Natal. You may have seen a TikTok where young boys were shooting in the air in a dwelling place. Those are the people who have been collected, confronted, and arrested by police. There were 5 of them there. 4 of them had guns, 9mm, all unlicensed. So in all these instances, even in CITs, the cash-outs, we normally collect unlicensed firearms. But in another move, we have agreed that we need to sit and discuss and strategize. And among other people that we've recently met is country South Africa. They spoke at length and passionately about their wish and prayer that South Africa move along those lines, and we listened. And so we are out to engage. I like people who are professors. One of them was a professor. Professors say, come to us because we are paid to think. Ask us a question and we'll think about it. And therefore we'll be engaging further to say, what are the ways, and compare ourselves and look at what other countries do to deal with firearms. But we're not going to be just dealing with them internally. We know that some of these firearms come from outside. Where and how and when. So the whole value chain. Now, Heidi Valamkoti, what's your plan? Our plan is to remove unlawful mining in South Africa. So we're not even the unlawful miners are a second fiddle. The first fiddle is unlawful mining in the country. That's our target. But then behind that, there are minors, unlawful as they are. That's what we want to do. So when they say Valamkoti, they actually mean Vala unlawful mining in the country. But this has many consequences. One of the consequences is you don't know how deep, you don't know how wide. All these, you may know a shaft, how far it goes, but then from the shaft, where it ends sideways, you no longer know how far, and you no longer know how safe, and so on. And you don't know what will happen one day. These things go underground, under cities, under towns, under residential areas. They go up to there. Who knows? You only get a story. It's one thing to stand on top and then you get told, hey, you see from here, where are we are here, where we are. Hey, you might go up to whatever, up to Jamestown and so on from here. So you must come to a conclusion that this thing is dangerous. And therefore it needs to be stopped. But we are saying, so what's our plan? Stop unlawful or illegal mining in the country as a whole, including in Stilfontein. And how do you stop that? Whoever is doing it unlawfully. And our job as police is to uphold the law by ensuring that no one engages on unlawful activities. And that is what we are doing there. Now, that's our plan. So if you want practically, you remember that we said after engaging all the role players and stakeholders there, we said, no, we need to take this a step further. Get people who have done this before with expertise and relevant instruments, and we engage them and they agreed to partner with us. And they are doing it. They've started doing that to lower their instruments, check what they see, advise, and so on. And we're planning a meeting this week to get them to give us their results and coordinate more intelligence on this, get more intelligence information, get the reports as they are reported to have spoken those last 14. So our plan is to intensify our action to ensure that no one engages further on any unlawful mining in that particular area, Stilfontein. So that's our plan. Now, you then say, you talk about rape and murder. I can't remember your specific question on this.
What do you think contributed to the decline?
What is what?
What has contributed to the decline?
Oh, yes. What has contributed to the decline? I would say don't be shy to say police are at work. Because if you are shy to do so, who is doing it? You and I know. You know, we're not doing it. So you and I know the people who are doing this, who are fighting out there, even when we are asleep. People who are doing this thing, pursuing criminals, even at the risk of their lives. It is the police. So police are doing their work, and we commend them for doing their job. All we are doing is to ask them to step down, to step up, to intensify their job. And we're one on that. Like we're saying, we've had a meeting recently to say, please step up, intensify the war against crime. And I'm happy to see a representative of a eThekwini municipality here who commands police there amongst us. We are saying step up and intensify the fight against crime. So police are doing the job and they are at work. And if you think they are done or if you think they are tired, you haven't seen all. Now, so rape and murder should be down. But we are calling on communities, the so-called men who are doing this, that I think the country is closing up on these matters, and it should. We should mobilize and intensify our rejection of people who rape. This is a luxury sin on earth. There is no one who suffers any disease or any problem or any headache because you haven't raped. It's something that you can't describe. What is it that, what type of a person would actually get involved in this and so on? And therefore, they must be rejected and they must be confronted and they must be fought. Any discussion with neighboring countries, yes, we do. There's an outstanding meeting with the Minister of Police in Lesotho. We're supposed to hold it in November. We were not able to. We think that we will be able to do that at the beginning of the year with more detail now of what we now have accumulated. There have been meetings. Even my predecessor had meetings with Mozambique, among other countries and others. But look, some of these, all these people, remember that their numbers are higher than our own people in terms of involvement in the illegal mines. When you lift your head beyond the people that you see in front of you, you could see that the source, the mover, is poverty. And lack of economic growth and jobs that people can do in their countries and also in our country and so on. So we need to step up the source, the cause, the main root. And then, of course, that does not mean that in the meantime we'll allow unlawfulness. It will never happen. And so we are engaging them and we'll still intensify our engagement on all fronts to stop these crimes. But you might have heard that those who come from Stilfontein recently are talking about some people who are heavily armed, and they identify that they are from Basotho, from Lesotho. This is information that police had, in any case, some time ago, and now it's getting verified, and we're happy that it is verified as correct. And these are all the matters that we need to discuss. Now, how long is Stilfontein? What's our goal? I think we have already stated. We don't want to belong in Stilfontein. We want to be as short as possible. That's why we're going there to make assessments and step and intensify our activities to get them out. Whether they are armed or not armed, we want to get everybody out from Stilfontein, and therefore, as far as we're concerned, it's going to be as short as possible, but it will depend on the level of success as we move on. Now, the role of police as far as food poisoning is concerned, what do you do after the deadline? Our role is to uphold the law. Our role is to arrest people when they don't, when they commit breaches. And this thing comes from, it involves illegal miners. It involves immigration laws. When people, for instance, employ illegal immigrants in South Africa, they must know they are breaching the law. That's why they are being arrested. And that's one. But going on to spaza shops, the regulations are hosted by local government. And local government has COGTA as a department both at provincial and national level. And those are the first line in the implementation of regulations. And where whoever in spaza shops fail to comply, they will then invite us as law enforcement, and we will do so without any hesitation. But we're saying, and we want to insist on this, local government officials, Department of Local Government, people who deal with environmental health, inspectors and all of that, and health, must lead the way. They must be the front line, and then we back them and we support them. It's not the other way around, because police are not trained in health-related matters to the extent that health officials are, and those who are hosting regulations. But we're there to support them. But we are discouraging an assumption that police are going to be all over and taking the lead. They are going to be up front, they are going to be there, but we want relevant departments to take the lead. And so what happens after deadline, local government will tell us who is preaching what after the 21st. They will say we've closed, and then this person has not registered, but they're operating, and we'll go for them because they'll be in breach of the law, which is our job. Closing, are we not advising that spaza shops be closed up until the deadline? Ordinarily, if you lift your head and you see that children have gone to this and that spaza shop, bought something, and they got sick and they died, your reaction is to close all of them. But there's other side, as it would be on all other matters. People regard spaza shops as a form of economy, especially in townships and in rural areas. And it's true, because some of the spaza shops employ people and they provide them with a living, a means to live and all of that. So you can't just close with your eyes closed, and you can't advise with our eyes closed. But we rely on people, local government, who license them, small business department. They are there to advise on the matter. So the answer, we're not advising, except like President would have said, that a spaza shop that is related or associated with table force or this organophosphate issue that would have killed somebody, it would need to be closed until authorities that are relevant say so. But we're not out there in darkness whispering to them, please close all of them and so on, because it's not our call. Then the other one is high-profile arrest in the NPA. What do we do when NPA turns around? Well, our job is to uphold the law, is to arrest transgressors or suspects, as it were, as an operational word, suspects, bring them to the courts. Once they are there, it's a different matter, it's a different authority. We would have pursued somebody based on allegations, based on suspicions, and then until we lay our hands on them, and then we say, but if NPA then say, no, we don't find whatever they say, we don't have means to overturn that. But, as I say, in some cases, it would be a matter that would have required close coordination. Like they would say, you didn't cross a T, and therefore we release this person. And we didn't do this and that and so on. So we require this closer coordination because we have the same aim, fight crime in the country, and therefore tell us before we go to court that we need to close a T or we need to cross a T or something like that, and so on. But we do also expect that this close coordination, I mean, in Stilfontein, a lot of people that are being arrested, we don't have facilities to keep them. And we expect that Department of Justice would create special means to process these people as quick as possible. And even Operation Chanela, we arrest many people and we take them to courts, and we need to derive satisfaction that our sister departments do process them accordingly, out of waiting and so on, because it's in the interest of the country to do so. And for that reason, we'll have to talk on an ongoing basis. Griselda, how many are still remaining in Stilfontein? I don't know. And I'm not going to make an effort to know. What I know is that, for instance, 3 of them, when the other ones came up to the surface, we were told, when they saw police, 3 of them ran back to the mine. That I know, 3, because that's the report. I do know that, according to the reports, there are some who are down there and so on. So what are we determined to do? Get everybody out. And we're going to intensify our activities to get everybody out. And we're not going to be smiling. It is going to show, especially now that we are free of the burden of the case that was taken against us. It doesn't mean that underground thing is not. It shouldn't be hid out while you are creating a dangerous situation for the country, especially for people who are there. But we mind. Do we mind about poverty that may drive people to those? Yes. That's why JCBS invited Minister Mantashe of Minerals and to talk about this matter. And he is leading, he's going to be leading all of us in terms of applying their mind as DMR in terms of what do you do with these mines and that have been left over and all of that, as he did indicate that there is something that they are looking at. But that doesn't mean that it's still Fontaine, just as a whole in South Africa. And it doesn't mean that we are now talking about allowing those illegal people to continue to do what they're doing. So we're saying you can't engage on unlawful activities, hoping that because there is this and that, I'll be allowed to do that. It doesn't work like that. But DMR has a weight on that. Last one. Any fear of overspill or eventual reaction by people who own spaza shops if they fail to register, and what is that we're doing? South African police are ready. They're always ready to ensure that all the people in South Africa uphold the law. Whether they are angry or not angry for something, they are ready. But we don't even think that it should come to that because the authorities responsible for registering people would be aware that there's still a queue there. And if necessary, like Telkom, Eskom has done, you are guided by what's happening, what's obtaining on the ground, and then you extend. So because the aim, the objective overall is to get them registered, not to prevent them while they're in the queue. And we hope that reasoning will prevail. But we don't think that there should be any need. But I don't want to say they will catch us unaware. We are unprepared. We're always prepared to ensure that law is upheld. I think General Masumla should then be allowed to respond to those matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good day, Minister, Deputy Ministers, and colleagues and media. The question around vacancies at Crime Intelligence, we are in the process of filling those posts. The Brigadier Hlongwane, you speak about him being suspended, which I'm not aware of. I'm aware that he's not at work, but not that he's suspended. What I know is either he's on sick leave or whatever. The commander will know exactly what is happening. And I'm sure he should be one of those filling those posts if he was at work. So that is the response I have. With regard to the firearms, or maybe still on the same matter, you spoke about, Sianda, about the fight between Abu Tlongwane and Lieutenant General Khumalo. We, as South African Police Service, we don't know about this fight. Maybe they are fighting him. It's possible. But all he's doing is just executing his job, making sure that where there is a need to discipline a member or an officer, and he does exactly that. He takes action if there is a need to. But it's unfortunate if the action is taken on some, that they'll respond in a different way. So that's what is happening in that environment. With regard to the recovery of firearms, for the quarter, the second quarter, which we are busy with now, we recovered over 1,440 firearms and ammunition, which I do not have at this stage, but it's over 3,000, which we recovered during that time. It is all illegal firearms. And we have to take note, some illegal firearms do have serial numbers, some don't have the serial numbers, but those are the firearms that we recovered from all the operations during the period of the quarter. So basically, I think those are the outstanding ones. The Minister have answered the rest.
Thank you, National Commissioner. We can then have General Libya just respond to that issue on the efficiency of the DPCI.
Thank you very much. The question that I needed to be touching on is from Nisi of Kaya FM with regard to the decision that was taken in Johannesburg, which to be reviewed. Firstly, I need to be indicating that emanating from the Zondo Commission, there are certain matters that the DPCI is conducting investigation on. In terms of the way in which the DPCI conducts its investigation is that it works closely with a prosecutor assigned to the matter. So the case itself was reported in May 2023. And the investigator and the prosecutor worked together until the prosecutor is satisfied that the content of the docket is sufficient to proceed to court. It is for that reason that on the 4th of June 2024, then the public prosecutor who's going to prosecute on this matter applied for a warrant of arrest, which warrant of arrest was authorized by the magistrate. And the investigator had to execute that. So you see, it means that it is not about the investigation. The investigators have done precisely what is expected of the investigation, in which the prosecutor was satisfied. That done, the matter is on the court roll. Then the law allows that an accused person can also make a representation to challenge the decision to prosecute. It is for that reason that now it goes to the Director of Public Prosecution, which is the superior to the prosecutor who decided that I'm going to prosecute. That done, the law does not end there. It is not the Director of Public Prosecution that finally say that I am not going to prosecute. This matter is closed. It is for that reason that, again, a representation is done to higher authority, which is why it is now directed to the National Director of Public Prosecution, who must review the matter. I hope that it has clarified that it is not the question of investigation. The investigators have done everything that a experienced investigator could do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.